What's up, comic book community? Joe here with another episode of 360 Comics. Earlier this week, I bought a collection that was just one long box in size, but that one long box was comprised entirely of Silver Age comics with a little bit of Golden Age sprinkled in for good measure. Great collection in my opinion, and there were even some major keys in there that I'm going to show off at the end of this video, so make sure you stick around. If you enjoy this content, make sure you subscribe to the channel and also give this video a thumbs up for a like and leave a comment down below. That also enters you to win this Silver Age Fantastic Four slab. I'll be giving this away at the end of the month of April, and I'll also be giving away a second and third place prize, which I have not decided on yet. And you can give us a follow over on Instagram because we're giving this book away for our 9,000 follower giveaway. And I also do my live claim sales on Instagram. In fact, I'm doing one tonight, Friday, March 31st at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm going all the way till 9:30 p.m. and then I'm handing the mic off to my buddy Mike, aka Pope of Chillytown, for his claim sale. And guess what? You can combine shipping between the two claim sales to save yourself a couple extra bucks. We'll see you there. Before we get into the key issues found in this collection, I'm just going to give you a little bit of background and flip through some of these more filler issues. Basically, I got this collection from a guy who bought them from a friend who does house cleanouts. And he bought them on kind of a whim, didn't really know what to do with them, doesn't really collect comics himself, I guess. And yeah, he ended up sitting on them for a while, and he just wanted to get rid of them. So he told me, he was into them for just a couple $100, and that's all he really wanted back. $200 he asked for a long box full of mostly early silver, but also some later silver and even later Golden Age comics. And I wasn't going to pass that up. You know, $200, it's almost 200 books, so you know, probably just over $1 a book. And some of it is like these lesser titles like Treasure Chest and some of the war stuff. But there's some great stuff in here as well. Early Nick Fury. Of course, some great DC titles like Detective and Batman. But yeah, I couldn't turn it down for the price that he was asking. And there ended up being some great keys that I found in there as well once I went through it all. So let's hop over there and check out the keys now. We're going to kick things off with what's not actually a key issue, but it was the oldest book that I found in this collection, and it's in rather nice shape. It is Walt Disney Comics and Stories, issue number 78, all the way back from 1947. Yup, you heard that right. Just after the end of World War II, this comic came out and has been preserved really nicely since that time. It has Carl Barks artwork on the front, and in fact, the contraption here, this I guess it's like a chicken coop or something. It says Barks's Jiffy Chicken Dinner right on the side there. So I think that was a little homage to his self right there, putting his name on something that's on the cover of the book. Really, really cool. He's so famous for giving us Donald Duck as we know him today, kind of in that style, and did tons and tons of work for Disney, especially in the comic industry. Moving on, we got another pre-code book. This one from 1961, Police Lineup issue number 2, a very early book from Avon Publishing, which is more known, I feel like, for the horror stuff that they put out, but also definitely had some crime like this and romance titles as well. But yeah, issue number 2, 1951, pretty crazy stuff. This one, super low grade, but hey, it's still complete and intact. Moving on to... Whoa... I caught it. It's fine. Moving on to some DC stuff. We got Adventure Comics number 141. Sorry, I am way off on that. 271? 272. It's kind of hard to see because there's a little crease there. 272, I believe it is. This is the first appearance of the human flying fish. I have no idea what that is. If you know, leave it in the comments down below. It was listed on Key Collector, so I thought I'd put it in this video as a little interesting fact there. Then we've got some Action Comics as well. This is issue number 261. As you can tell, I am not much of a DC guy. I have to look at these sometimes to find out the issue number. 261. This is the first appearance of Streaky the Super Cat. I almost forgot what this was. It's not signified on the cover of this book, so I forgot for a second. But yeah, Streaky the Super Cat. There we go. Then moving on to Action Comics number, gotta look at it again, 262, the very next issue, actually. This is the issue where it's described that Kryptonians utilize the Earth's sun in order to gain their powers. And in fact, back on Krypton, they do not have those powers, but here on Earth, due to the yellow sun, they have them. And we got an earlier Supergirl appearance as well. Can't go wrong with some 12-cent, actually 10-cent Action Comics from the late 50s. Then we got Superman issue number 129. This is the first appearance of Lori Lamaris, who is a mermaid from the city of Atlantis. It's also got this really cool cover here with the ghost of Lois Lane, kind of like a creepy horror vibe. Pretty cool stuff. I'm going to move these down a second, make some room up here, because we got some more DC to go through. In fact, some more Superman. This time it is Superman, the 80-page giant annual number 1. Not to be confused with Superman annual number 1. The 80-page giant ones are a little bit different. I believe they came a little bit later, still in the Silver Age, but these are, I believe, all reprint stories, and I think it probably has 4 stories given the 4 pictures on the cover. But yeah, it's a number 1 nonetheless, definitely a collectible item. Then we got some Doom Patrol going all the way from an issue 1 all the way up to an issue 100. Not only is this a milestone issue, it is the second appearance and origin story of Beast Boy, who's right down there at the bottom as well. Is that first cover? No, he's on the cover of his first appearance. But nonetheless, Doom Patrol number 100, great little key there, especially with such a popular character like Beast Boy. Then we got Challengers of the Unknown number 14, first appearance of Multi-Man. There aren't a lot of Challenger of the Unknown books that are worth a lot of money other than issue like 1 and 3, but this one is signified on Key Collector as being a key first Multi-Man. Moving on to some more war-related stuff here. We got Sergeant Fury and his Howling Commandos, issue number 27. So an earlier Silver Age appearance of Nick Fury. And in fact, as it says on the bottom here, this tells the origin story of why he wears the eye patch, which that's kind of his signature look, whether it is the MCU version, the Ultimate Universe version, the regular Marvel version. He's known for that eye patch in all of those different iterations, and it's part of his character. So this is a really cool little origin story of that. Then we got some Sergeant Rock here. This is showcase number 45, I think. Yeah, DC Showcase 45. This is the origin story of Sergeant Rock. I am not too much of a collector of war comic books, but as far as they go, this is one of definitely a very popular character, from the Silver Age, and actually maybe goes as far back as the Golden Age. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I think it was probably Silver Age. Anyway, you can always let me know in the comments if I say something wrong or if you want to give me some information, because I am always down to learn. Speaking of Sergeant Rock, the run that he primarily is in, Our Army at War, and this is issue number 141. No, I'm wrong again. 158. One of these issues is issue 141. 158, this is the first appearance of the Iron Major. Again, not a war guy. Don't really know much about that topic there. But yeah, just a cool little key. And there are a couple more war keys here. Moving over to GI Combat. Now, in GI Combat, one of the main focus stories is around the Haunted Tank. Don't really know anything about the Haunted Tank myself. Not something that I really read, but I assume they saw the popularity of horror stuff and combined it with war in a way. I don't know, but this is the origin story of the Haunted Tank. This is GI Combat number 114, and hopping over from GI Combat to GI Joe. This is issue number 11, but it's actually the second appearance of GI Joe in comic books. This run started with issue 10. I forget what run it was first, from 1 to 9, but they eventually changed over to the GI Joe title and just continued the numbering from there. So second ever appearance of GI Joe in comic books. That's pretty cool. This obviously predates the Marvel book that is very popular by a couple decades and is definitely harder to find. In fact, this is the first time I've ever come across one of these Silver Age G.I. Joe books. Then we're moving into some Western stuff here. We got the Lone Ranger issue number 1. Obviously, this isn't the first appearance of the Lone Ranger or even the first volume of Lone Ranger, but it is the first Gold Key volume. They took over the catalog from Dell Comics, who owned the character before. And yeah, this is issue number 1 of the, I believe, 1964-1965 Lone Ranger run by Gold Key. And it's definitely got a really, really cool cover. Then we're moving into some late Atlas, right before they became Marvel. I think this book probably came out in like 1960, only about a year before they rebranded as Marvel Comics, releasing Fantastic Four 1. This is Two Gun Kid issue number 52. I have all my numbers mixed up today. Issue number 52 of Two Gun Kid. I want to say this is a Jack Kirby cover, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But, it's an Atlas comic. Can't go wrong with that. Same thing with this Kid Cole. This one's issue number 90. This one 100% is a Jack Kirby cover. I can tell you that for a fact. And once again, late Atlas Publishing before they became Marvel. Not one of the big, titles or anything like that. But, for Western fans, I'm sure this is a very collectible book. Same with this last one. We got Western Outlaws issue number 18. Again, a late Golden Age. This one probably would have been late Golden Age. Maybe early Silver. Not sure if this book came out in like 1955, 1956, 1957. Certainly somewhere in that area, right when it's changing from those two. But great Atlas comic book, again, pre-Marvel. Then we go into the Marvel stuff. This is early Marvel, pre-Hero. This is before Fantastic Four, launched, or maybe like around the time they launched, early 1960s. Tales to Astonish, issue number 7. Single-digit issue of Tales to Astonish. This run went all the way up to issue 101. You find those a lot. Not a lot, but, a decent amount. That Hulk stuff from the later Silver Age before he got his own run. But this right here is the earliest issue of Tales to Astonish that I have ever owned by far. I don't know. It's going to be hard to get rid of this one. Like, I might just want to kind of keep it, but I don't really collect Tales to Astonish. But just being an early Marvel 10 center. Look at that. Look at that. Oh my gosh. Couldn't believe that I found that in here. Speaking of early Marvel, how about this one? Amazing Adventures number 2. Issue number 2. The second book. Now, this was called Amazing Adventures, I believe, up to issue 6, and then became Amazing Adult Fantasy from, I believe, issue 7 to issue 14, at which point the final issue was titled Amazing Fantasy. Amazing Fantasy 15, like the Silver Age Grail, the first appearance of Spider-Man. Gosh darn great book. Hopefully I'll find that someday in a collection, but this being in there was really, really cool. Amazing Adventures number 2. And this one, a sharp mid-grade copy. I couldn't believe the condition that this book was in. Again, this is going to be another one that I'm really torn between keeping in my personal collection and getting rid of. I don't own any other books in the run, so it doesn't really fit. But at the same time, like, how do I get rid of something like this? It's such a piece of history. All right, moving on. We got a couple more, and then we're going to get into the best books in the bunch. First up, we got Thor number 127. This is the second Thor book. They first did Journey to Mystery. Thor premiered in issue 83, and it ran all the way to issue number 125, where they retitled it just Thor. They took out Journey into Mystery. It was called for a while Journey into Mystery with Thor, and issue 126 would be the first one. This is issue 127 of Thor, which is the second Thor book, and it is also multiple first appearances in there, and a really awesome cover featuring Odin there. Love that. Beautiful colors, like amazing looking book, given that it is from the early to mid 1960s. All right, and we've got an interesting one right here. This is Turok, Son of Stone, number 3. What you might not know is that there is no issue 1 and 2 of this run. Turok first appeared in 4-color, and I think he was in 2 issues of 4-color, and then they decided to give him his own run, so instead of starting at 1 again, they just counted those first 2 stories as Turok stuff, even though it was in 4-color, and they decided to start off with issue number 3. So this is the first Turok in his own title. It is obviously beat up, missing a little bit of that corner there. But I'm going to have to flatten that out a little bit and see if I can make this copy look nicer. A pretty pricey book, even in lower grade. And the last book, before we get into the better stuff, we got to show this off first. And this one might be a keeper because this book right here, I would not have known this had it not been for looking it up on Key Collector. Adventures of the Fly, number 4 from 1960? Yeah, 1960. This right here is the first ever published work of Neil Adams, and he must have been really young at this point. He probably was still a teenager. I think what it describes this as is that he redrew one of the panels for someone. It's not even like he did like a full page or a small story or anything like that. And it's certainly not cover work. It is just early Neil Adams just doing, I believe, one panel, and correct me if I'm wrong on that. But yeah, this is possibly a keeper for my collection, because I do really love Neil Adams' work. All right, on to the bigger and better stuff. These were the best finds, in my opinion, in this collection. We're going to kick it off with Flash number 112. This is the first appearance of the Elongated Man. He's right on the cover there, early Flash book. This is super low grade. I'm talking about there's like tape on this and everything. So, this book, obviously, in even mid-grade, is a really, really, really nice find. But in a lower grade, it's still a solid book that definitely has some value. And I'm sorry if you're wanting this, because this book is already accounted for. A friend of mine will be grabbing this from me. So I'm sorry. This one will not be up for sale. Somebody already called dibs on it. And you got to give it to a friend if they really want it. Moving on, a surprising war book here that has quite a bit of value. StarSpangled War Stories number 90? Yeah, issue number 90 of StarSpangled War Stories. This is the first appearance or the first story arc of The War That Time Forgot. And I was not familiar with this. Shout out to Jim from Bronzeville Comics. Because he informed me of this. I was not aware of this storyline or these characters at all. But basically, it is World War II era soldiers that fight with dinosaurs. Yes, you heard me correctly. World War II era soldiers versus dinosaurs. It's even depicted like this on the front cover. Look this book up. It is surprisingly expensive, for being a war book that probably most people would have passed up. Honestly, it's super low grade. I probably would have marked this for like $5 had I not known. And I'm glad I do check on things because, yeah, this book is a pricey one. It's definitely got a really, really cool cover. All right, we got 3 more here. You saw this one in the beginning of the video, but I gotta talk about it. Fantastic Four number 45, first appearance of the Inhumans. Black Bolt does not appear yet, but the rest of them do. Black Bolt does show up in the next issue. He might even cameo at the end of this one, I forget. But this is definitely a really great key from this era, and in fact, there are so many keys from this era, like this year-long stretch of Fantastic Four, not just with the Inhumans, but also Silver Surfer shortly thereafter, and Galactus, and then Black Panther after that. But I digress. Great book, and this is the sharpest copy of this book that I have ever found. Might end up keeping it for myself, might get it graded, got to kind of look it over a little bit more and see if it's worth grading or if I just want to move it raw. All right, so you saw Turok number 3 before, but this right here, 4-color number 596, and I always forget that number for this book. This is the first appearance of Turok in comic books, first appearance in general. He wasn't in anything before this. And people are always joking about Turok Dinosaur Hunter number 1, that 90s book that everyone has. It's everywhere. Even in high grade, it's not really worth very much. But some Turok stuff actually is worth something, including this book right here, the first appearance of Turok, all the way back from the 1950s. I guess this would have been late Golden Age, maybe early Silver. No, I have to think it would have been late Golden Age. Yeah, it had to be, because this is issue number 500 and something of 4-color. So this is probably early 50s. I'm not exactly sure what year, but great book. It's low grade, so it's going to be an affordable copy for someone to grab. And on to the last one. The last book, this is the best one in the bunch. It is low grade, but it is a banger. Yup, you saw the chessboard and you probably already knew what it was. Justice League of America, number 1. Not the first appearance. They first appear in Brave and the Bold. Is this their second team appearance? Or are they in multiple Brave and the Bold books? I'm actually not 100% sure on that, but either way, first book of the Justice League run, a legendary run, went, 200 and some? I don't even know when they went up to. I think they went all the way to the reboot in 1987. But yeah, a lot of people, this is a love or hate cover. I've heard people say, oh, they're just playing chess. It's such a dumb cover. I think it's like a kind of a funny, like crafty, kitschy 60s cover. I personally like it, and this really did kick off the team thing going on in the 1960s. I think this book came out in 1960 itself. But as you can see, low grade, has some staining on the side and even like a rip there. I haven't even taken this thing out of the bag and board yet. I eventually will and see what I can do to press it out. Might be worth selling raw, might be worth getting it graded just to make it, present a little bit nicer and also, preserve it because it is so low grade. It's one thing about grading that people really take for granted. It not only protects the book, but it preserves the book as well. Definitely very, very important. As you can see, this was a home run, absolute, possibly even a grand slam of a collection, given that the guy only wanted $200 for it. I was happy to give him that money without even knowing this stuff was all in here. I kind of paged through and I didn't know some of these books and I didn't see most of these books and stuff, but $200, I said, absolutely. I'll help you get your money back. Definitely. I was not going to pass that up because most Silver Age books, especially if they're DC and Marvel, they're worth $5, even reader copies, as long as they're not like falling apart and stuff. And fortunately, I looked through some of these books, and I didn't see anything missing. No coupons clipped, no missing pages. I got to go through the rest. I have not had any time. I've been catching up since King Con, but I'm babbling now. Enough of that. Let's end this video. Thank you for watching. Give me a thumbs up for a like on your way out. Let me know what you thought about the video. And until next time, turn the page, wash your hands.